Welcome back, everyone. We just released our 3-year anniversary kit. Now, if you're new to Jason Jensen Trains, every year we produce a anniversary kit. Our first year was Oak Tree Winery, and our second year was H Street. And now our newest kit is Dan's Service Station. Now the kit will be available on the website for 1 year, and then our 4th year, that anniversary kit will come out and replace this year's. Now if you are a Patreon member, you receive a discount, and the discount code can be found on my Patreon page at patreon.com/Jason Jensen Trains. It's incredible that we've been producing kits for 3 years. The time has just gone so fast, and we have met so many incredible people over the entire world that has ordered our kits. They send us photographs of their finished models. It has been such a pleasure. All right, well, in today's video, we're going to build the 3-year anniversary kit both in HO scale and N scale. I've never done a video like this. It's something new that I'm trying. So please leave me a comment and let me know how you feel about watching both HO and N scale being built at the same time. All right, this is a big project, so let's get to it. Okay, to get started, we're going to want to take these two pieces right here. Then we're going to want to cut out all of the pieces. After your pieces are cut out, you're going to want to take a small file and make sure your edges are smooth. You'll see there's little nubs from where you cut it out of the sheet. Just make sure those are flat. Next, let's take the large one with the squares on it. Now, you may have to bend it a little bit. Make sure it's as flat as possible. We're going to take this piece here. You'll see this is the sidewalk, and there's a curb that runs across the front. But you'll notice the curb doesn't go right there because this is a driveway. And we're going to file that in a little bit. That gets glued right there. So again, your driveway is right there. Notice the little holes for our fence is there. Okay? Then you have this one that'll go right here. That has a curb back here, but not in the front, because again, we're going to file this down to put a slant on it for a driveway. Then you have your corner piece that'll go right there. Then you have these two, and notice there's tabs on them. One is longer than the other, and there's notches in the back here that they fit into. That's our base, and then eventually this will get painted, and you just line up those squares, and that gets glued right there. But let's wait to glue that on. So right now we're just going to glue all these pieces that I just showed you in place. Okay, next I'm going to take a file and there's a driveway here and a driveway here. And you can tell because there's no curb in front of the driveway. Same on this side. So we're going to put it on the edge of our workbench. Okay, then if you want to, you can take some really fine sandpaper and just kind of smooth that out. It's still going to be rough, but we can fill it in a little bit with some paint later. It's probably very hard to see. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this side. Then we're going to put a gray primer over this. We're going to spray the back side, let it dry. Then we're going to spray the front side. You can actually go ahead and do the same with these pieces too. And I'll actually cut out these little pieces and spray both sides of those. So just a quick reminder that it's a lot easier if you use a brand new blade. You get a nice clean cut and there's not as much cleanup. Okay, I've got the N scale one all glued together. Okay, these are done. Now, if you wanted to, you could do weathering on them now, if you want to. Okay, let's get our walls cut out. And again, it's always easier to see where the tabs are on the back side. And then again, take your small file and make sure your sides are completely smooth. Okay, I'll go ahead and get these all cut out along with the N scale walls. Okay, in the HO scale walls, I added nail holes and I lifted some of the boards. Now let's put bracing on the back of these. All the bracing is glued on. Let me go over the pieces with you. We'll start with these two. So you have two in between the windows, and these have to come in 1/8 of an inch, which is the thickness of the bracing. So both ends come in 1/8. Same over here. Come in 1/8 on each side, and then this gets one in the center. This wall gets a garage door, so we're putting bracing on both sides of the opening. Now with all of these walls, be very careful because there's tabs that stick down. So make sure that your bracing, let's see. This one here is a good example. Those tabs go all the way to the edge. You don't want your bracing to go all the way to the bottom, because that tab needs to fit in the slot. Okay, these two, bracing in between the window and then bracing all the way to the edge of the wall. And like always, I'll have a diagram in the instructions showing you exactly where these are all placed. Okay, the back wall. Come in 1/8 on the ends, and then just put 2 in the center. And this wall, you'll see it has a door and a window. Put the bracing all the way to the edge on both sides, and then 1 in the center. I'm going to let the glue on the bracing dry a little bit longer, and let's go to the end scale. And with the end scale, I think I'm going to first spray these with an off-white. Our structure is going to be off-white with red trim. Okay, I just sprayed the end scale walls with this. And it's really light. So it says satin, but if you go light, it soaks into the wall, it soaks into the wood, and it really looks pretty flat. Okay, we're going to set these to the side, and let's stain all of our HO scale walls. And we're using murky brown. Okay, the walls are all stained. Now, we're going to let those dry, and while those are drying, let's cut out a few of the end scale walls, and I'm going to put a red stripe across the bottom, but only on 3 of the walls. So I'll show you which 3. Okay, the long wall, which is the back wall, and then these 2 right here. Now again, real quick, just go over the edges. Make sure there's no little nubs on there. Be careful, because with end scale, it's really easy to snap the wall. You have to be very gentle. We're going to line up the bottom. There's tabs. We're going to put the tabs right at the edge of the tape. Okay, so you can see the top is completely lined up. Now we have to decide how high we want the red to come up. Let's just make it 3/8. Now remember, don't measure from the bottom of the tab, measure from the bottom of the wall. Okay, I'm going to spray this red, and at the same time I'm going to spray the corner trim. Okay, for the white, we're using light buttermilk. Now let's take a sponge and we'll go over these. Now it's not the entire wall, but here and there I'm going heavier at the top because the overhang would sort of protect it. Okay, now we need to do the red. So we're going to tape right above the tape that's already on there. And then take off the bottom piece. Oh, we're using Santa Red. I didn't even notice. I just bought this at Michael's, and I didn't notice it was called Santa's Red. Okay, now we're going to lightly go over it with a sponge. Again, be careful that you don't snap your walls. Okay, next, let's take this piece right here. And we can actually snap that off. Actually, let's go ahead and cut all of the pieces out of this. And then we'll spray them. That way we make sure that we get the edges too. We don't want any of the edges to be this white color. Okay, I just took the N scale walls and the N scale trim and put a thin coat of murky brown over the walls. Even these here. And you can probably see the difference between this and I didn't stain that side. Okay, now we need to get all of these HO scale doors and windows and storefronts put on a piece. Let's glue this on top of this so it'll look like that. So this piece here with the big openings that goes on top of this one, we'll glue that, and then we'll glue this, and then we'll do the same with our two smaller doors. We'll glue these, break these apart and glue them together. Okay, so we'll glue those two together, glue these two together, and then there's actually these little doors too that we need to do. So that's the bottom, and that one's the top. These would probably be silver. Let's paint those silver. Yeah, we'll set those to the side. Everything else gets painted red. Okay, I sprayed a gray primer on all of the parts. Now I'm going to take a color called Iced Coffee and brush that over this. And it doesn't have to be solid. We just want a thin layer of this over it so it kind of matches the color of the stained walls. Okay, I took the red and I sponged it on over the all the parts that we had put a gray primer on, and then the iced coffee over the top of it. So I just simply took the Santa Red and sponged it over all the parts. Okay, I just glued on all of the window frames and door frames. Now I'm just going to take a small brush in the red and paint the inside of those openings. I just finished gluing the windows onto the acetate, and the acetate is provided in the kit, and the acetate is larger than the window, so just glue the window in the center of each one. Then when you cut that out, glue them from the back side, that way they won't fall through. So now I'll just go ahead and cut all of these windows out. Quick show you on this one. It's larger than the window, and then when we glue it on there, glue it from the back, and it doesn't fall through. So I put these two windows in from the back side, and then I use super glue, and it's gel, and it has a fine point on it, and I just put a little dot in the four corners. Now on these, the bracing is right next to the window. So I'm just going to cut one side of the acetate off. Now we'll quick do the N scale windows. And we're going to cut this, and I'll show you. So we'll set this aside, and we're going to spray this with red spray paint. Now for the N scale, I just pick up one of the window frames or door frames and very lightly dip one end in glue and the other end in glue. Okay, back to our HO. I just sponged the red onto our corner trim. So let's go ahead and put some on. We're going to put it on both sides of this wall, and then both sides of this wall. Okay, our corner trim is glued on. Now let's take the base and let's actually assemble some walls finally, and we'll test fit it. Might have to bend it a little bit, make sure it's completely flat. Now the back wall should fit the side wall and this front wall. That's exciting. Okay, I'm working on the N scale one, and I noticed that the trim on this side has to be half the thickness. So I cut one to the correct height. I'll show you right here. And then I split that down the center. So you can see how thin it is. Now I'll glue one half here and the other half on this side. Now we'll work on the storefront. We need to get windows put in, and then there's signs that get put on the inside. Then we can glue that in place. Okay, I just wanted to dry fit these quick before I put the windows and doors and everything, and it does fit. And same with the N scale one. Since I've never put these together, I just wanted to make sure that everything did line up. In the kit, you'll receive an entire sheet of signs. The larger signs you're going to want to save for along the fence, maybe on both sides of the fence. But the smaller signs can go in the storefront window on both sides. Now, a lot of people ask me, how do you put signs on the inside of windows? It's really simple. You cut a second piece of acetate and you cut the signs you want, glue them onto this, then glue that to the back side of the wall. I'll glue a bunch on here, and then before I glue it on, I'll show you. So I glued some signs onto this clear piece of acetate. Now I'm going to attach it to the back side of this. Just like that. So you can move it anywhere you want. Okay, so I just put a piece of tape across the top and across the bottom. Okay, now we'll put signs over on this side and some signs on the door. Okay, the top is all glued on. Now I'm just taking the corner trim and putting it through the hole, lining it up to the hole on the bottom, and then I'll trim it. And then I'll check. They should all be the same length. Okay, so let me cut 2 more of these. Okay, now we'll do the same to the HO scale. We'll use the 1/8 inch strip wood for the posts. The same wood that we use for the bracing. Okay, our pillars are put in. Now we're going to take these little walls and put them around the top. And I've already filed everything. Make sure that you file the edges along with the top and the bottom. Make sure it's all smooth. I've already cut all my little corner posts. Now there is trim. If you remember, they were with the white material. Now we just need to spray these red, and those go along the top. Okay, I sprayed the trim with red. Now we'll just glue it on. Okay, the trim is all glued on. When you're gluing that on, you want to make sure that it's level with the face of it. There could be a slight overhang in the back. That's fine. I actually should have painted the back of that gray first. Okay, now we have to do the same thing to this one. But first, what I can do is take this piece and spray the gray primer on the back of it so it matches the roof. Okay, this one's done. And for the top, the red trim around the top, I just used the 16th inch corner trim. Okay, I've made some progress on the HO scale version. I cut my black construction paper into strips and glued it on all the rooftops. I did a little bit of weathering with some pastel chalks on the concrete. I built this over here and spray painted it yellow. I made the fence, and the fence comes in the kit, and it's simple. It's just 2 pieces, and it's all wood, and then I sprayed it with a gray primer and brushed on gunmetal gray, and actually added a little bit of water to it and just sort of did a quick wash over it. I didn't want it to look too sparkly. Then after it dried, I took the Loctite super glue. Now this is gel. And I smeared the gel onto the back side, onto all of it. Then, while it was laying down, again, I smeared the gel super glue on it. Then I took the screen and just laid it right down on top of it. And then I took the back of my tweezers and sort of pressed it down here and there. And then just let it dry. It dries really quick. It's great because it does dry quick, but it gives you a little bit of time to work with it, where the liquid super glue dries pretty quick. You just don't have enough time to move it around and smooth it out. And I can show you all of this with the N scale version. Oh, and I did put wood trim underneath the overhang of the roof. I did 3 sides, and then the front and the back. And then I also added the vents. Now don't worry about this. We actually have some brackets that go in here, and then an overhang, so that gets completely covered. Okay, I got all the signs put on the building. Same placement as the HO scale. And then I put my black tar paper on the roof, and then did a little bit of weathering on the concrete. Okay, next we'll tackle the fence, and I'll show you how I did that. Okay, here's the billboard for the rooftop. So it's square, doesn't matter. And then you just glue 3 of the A-frames to the back. And I glued mine right behind this center post. I can see it right at the top. I don't know if you can. You see I glued it right behind it. Okay, then we made this sign. And I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there's little tabs that stick up. And you put the bottom of the sign on top of those tabs. And then obviously we have to cut out the paper sign and glue it on there. And again, you can do that first and then have this all built and then put it on, but I'm going to do it now. Now in hindsight, I would have spread these out wider and had the 2 go all the way to the end, but I had already glued the tire and that vent on there, and so they were in the way. All right, we'll do the same on the end scale. Okay, let's quick do our awning that goes on the back. 4 little brackets. The tab is at the bottom, but that tab goes in those little holes in the back. Now you could paint that white, that little strip back there, if you wanted to. So I've added all the signs. And we have this one over here. And it's double on both sides. And then I did the same on the N scale. Okay, the only thing left to do is to paint our gas pumps and get them glued on. I am going to spray these with a gray primer, and then I'm going to spray them off-white. Then I'm going to paint the outer side red, and I'll show you when it's done. And then we'll glue them in place. Okay, they are finished. Wow, this was a long project. It took me a week to build these two. The gas pumps are painted. They do need hoses. I think I may buy some black string or black wire to glue on there. Definitely black string for these. And I don't know if you can see the back of them. The back of them it's white. Maybe you can see it better on this one. They are pretty much identical. I put the signs in the same place. I tried to weather them the same. I went less heavy with the weathering on the N scale. I think it looks just a little bit newer than the HO scale. I hope you enjoyed the video. This was such a fun project, and I really love making an N scale version of the HO scale kit and trying to really make them look almost identical. And again, the kit is available on my website at jasonjensentrains.com, both in HO scale and N scale. All right, well, a huge thank you to all of my Patreon members. Incredible. I appreciate you all so much. You make this channel possible. And again, if you are a paid Patreon member, you receive a discount on either the HO scale kit or the N scale kit. All right, well, thank you all so much for watching, and I have thoroughly enjoyed the last 3 years of producing kits, and there's many more years to come. So thank you all so much for your support. It means so much to me. All right, well, until next time, stay motivated and happy modeling, everyone.